your hand function.
Kenny, I'll start it off. How's the team looking in training this week? You know, it's a bit of a shorter week.
Yeah, we're coming to the tail end of the month where we have Friday, Sunday games. So obviously short weeks and then longer weeks. But the preparation's there. I think the boys are excited to travel. And after the last result, really excited to get back and play.
Awesome. Guys, if you have questions, use the raise your hand function. We'll start with Manuel Olivares. Go ahead, Manuel.
Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Can you give us a little insight, any extra preparations that you're going after Vancouver Whitecaps too? I know they're like about, fifth place, but is there any cautions that you have told the boys for upcoming match this Friday?
We just have to continue to build off of what we've done over the last month. Again, it's an interesting week for us too. It's an exciting week. I think the one thing that we have to highlight is the amount of players that we have away with youth national team duty. That's something that we need to be very proud of. But I talk about this all the time. It's the next guy up. So, there'll be guys this weekend that will be playing that, deserve opportunities to play more minutes. And this is a great chance for them. So really just understanding what to expect. They play a very distinct system with 5 at the back and 2 up front. And they have 2 players that are very dangerous going forward in their 2 forwards. So making sure that we are understanding the press, understanding how we're going to build with their press, and knowing that it's another one of these trips where it's a longer flight. It's something that we've never used as an excuse, but it's a factor in preparation. So making sure that the workloads throughout the week were appropriate, especially with a shorter week, and knowing that tomorrow when we get on the plane and we get there and train, obviously that flight, it's just a little bit of a lengthy day. So preparing as much as possible physically, mentally, and knowing that when we get there, it's going to be a battle because they're fighting for a playoff spot. So a very, very good team. I really enjoy watching them play because they cause a lot of problems in different ways. They're very bought into the system that they play. And the 2 guys up front, we know really well. The staff, we scouted those guys coming out of college. I think that you have to be prepared for their individual work rate. And it's exciting. So I'm really happy that this game has come when it has, because with the form that we're in and obviously what we want to build towards to the end of the season, this is going to be a great test.
Thank you. Yeah, I know with the form and the players leaving, is it a relief for you that you have availability, according to the last game, of some of the first players, like Nelson, Barlow, and Avila? How does that help you with going forward? Not only this match, but also future matches.
Yeah, it helps me that we're getting them minutes for the first team, because obviously they have a real push going forward in the latter part of the season. So, as opposed to really focusing on Dynamo 2 and, how does that help us as a group? I think it's really important that, especially us as a staff and as a team, we know that we're supporting the club and getting those guys minutes. I think everybody was pleased with what output those guys were able to give. They all played exceptionally well. It's great for them to get 3 points at home and a clean sheet. It gives confidence. So yeah, it helps the group, but it also, we have a very competitive team. Everybody is fighting to be in the 20-man roster. And then once you're in that 20-man roster, it's about when you get your opportunity, how do you force the staff to make tough decisions? And for us, we love the tough decisions. When we are having to figure out who needs to be where and how much and who needs to start, that's a great place to be. From a coaching staff. A lot of people would hide from that, but I think when people know they're going to play and when players are comfortable knowing that they're going to be in the starting 11, there can be drop-offs in the group. So having this competition and this internal competition within the team is really important.
And lastly, my last question, I know with recent news right now of Andre Giantu being the MLS All-Star team, the first one of its kind, and being the only Houston Dynamo, how much pride do you have of his development, or how much pride you could say the academy or just the whole have on Andre?
Yeah, pride is an understatement. I think seeing the evolution of him as a young player. I'll go back to when we knew the league was coming into play, and we did this pilot season, and we played Sporting Kansas City the first time, and he had scored 3 goals in the first 15 minutes at 14 years old. I will never forget presenting the ball for that hat trick after the game. I will never forget making him give a speech to the team because he was obviously the man of the match. And I think those opportunities, him being able to play with the 17s, him playing in that pilot season, it was a springboard for his confidence. And he's a very confident player. I think it's unbelievable. And I'm really excited to see not only the first game of this kind, but I'm excited to see how he performs because it's going to be a highlight of the best players in his age group in the academies across the country. So I'm extremely proud of him. I know he's going to do well. And I can't wait to watch.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, no problem.
Next, we'll go to Dustin Richardson from Dynamo Theory. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about Isaiah? I know he came in kind of mid-season, and he's kind of hit the ground running. He scored a couple goals in his first few games. He's been starting. Can you just kind of talk about how he's integrated into the team and kind of how he got to you guys?
Yeah, so, he had worked with Paulo with Sporting Kansas City too, and then he'd been overseas. Obviously, wanted to come back to the States, was recommended to come in on trial. And when he came in, you could tell right away that he's much more mature than his actual physical age. He's got the right mentality and he's a worker. Some of the things, he scored some goals, but if you dive even deeper into what it takes to be a professional, especially at the MLS level, you look at the output that he puts in games and we get all of that data. And your eye tells you something when you watch him play, right? He's good technically, he works hard. He positionally, he finds good spots. And then you pair that with the output that he puts in, that his GPS unit is giving us. You look at the potential that this player could have. It's important that obviously you don't just look at one or the other. You kind of pair both of them. And I've been very impressed with the output that he's put in, the effort that he's put in, and then his willingness to want to know what style we want to play and what the expectations from the team are. Any player that comes in that we as a staff feel can make an impact, we know culturally those players are going to fit into the group. We are very fortunate to have a leadership group on this team that integrate players quickly. And that's not just from on the field stuff. A big part of what people don't see is how much time these guys spend at the club. That they're in gym right now. And the guys that haven't had their gym group, they're out playing the tech ball. They're playing soccer, tennis. They're playing all of these different things because they want to. They want to compete with each other. They want to be around each other. And the dream of any staff is that you almost have to pull guys off the field, or you have to tell them they need to go and rest. You don't want to be the person standing behind with a hand on their back, pushing them towards their goals. You want to be guiding them. So when he came in, he fit right into that culture, and he's been excellent so far. He's got the ability to play multiple positions. Obviously, we've been playing him as a winger, and to be fair, he's unlucky not to score in the last game. Rockets went off the crossbar early on in the game, and I think he's put everything into being here. And I have to say it. I really appreciate his mentality from the minute he stepped here.
And last one from me, Pat Onstead was on Glenn Davis's show last night, and he was kind of talking about the mentality of the club, and getting to that winning mentality. And there's been a lot of guys in the first team that have been here over the last few years when it hasn't necessarily been that. And he brought up Dynamo too, and you guys developing players. And he mentioned Brooklyn in the last game. You guys were up 1-0, and Brooklyn kind of got into it with somebody that was much taller than him, much more physical, but Brooklyn just having that kind of leadership, that mentality. He mentioned, he knows he can cut off a few seconds from the game, kind of kill the game, and also stand up for his guys. But how important is it for you guys? Obviously you're getting these guys ready, physically and as a soccer player, but also kind of instilling that mentality, that leadership and that winning mentality for them.
I'll give you a very specific example. We played FC Tulsa in preseason, and Diego Rosas was playing, and he was flying at this time. Rosas being the youngest player with Andre Gattal in the group. And Rosas went past this guy, basically we continued to play. The ball came back to Rosas and he went past him again, and the kid ended up breaking his ankle. And there was a moment where it was a really nasty tackle. It's preseason. All the first team players were on the bench watching, things like that. And the reaction from the team wasn't necessarily good enough. I'll be a little critical there. It wasn't good enough. The staff reaction, the first team players' reaction was much different than the players on the field. And we had a long talk after that. And we had a long talk about if we want to be successful, if we want to be a team that wins games, if we want to be a club that competes in everything that we do, then we have to stand up for each other. And I'll never forget, I sat with Pat, I sat with Nick, and I sat with Asher, and we talked about it. And I think Asher was the one that said, have you given them permission to fight for each other or to stand up for each other? Have you actually said that you expect, X, Y, and Z when something like that happens? And it's interesting because as a coach, you're always evolving as well. Like, I'm no different than the players. Every new scenario for them, we as a staff are having new scenarios with a new league. So we're also developing. And I kind of took that information, I stepped back, I talked to the staff, and we realized that maybe we did need to give permission. Maybe we did need to make them understand that saying you want to be competitive, saying you want to have a winning culture, that's one thing, but how do we live it? And from that moment on, I think they, not necessarily the permission I gave them, but the discussion that we had, that's not the standard that we're going to have for each other. We're going to fight against each other in training. We're going to fight with each other in games. When the doors are closed, we're going to have hard conversations. We're going to have conversations that aren't all rosy and positive. We're going to have tough conversations when the doors are closed, but when the doors open and we're together, we are going to fight for each other. And I think that a lot of that comes from also the leadership that we have in the group. We have leaders and guys that don't necessarily always play. It's easy to look at Talon and look at Mikael, but like Paulo Lima, he's a player that's been in and out of the squad. What a leader he is and what demands he puts on players at training, but also the demands he puts on players when we have to fight for each other. You look at a Sterling. Sterling's another player, been in and out of the lineups. He's another one that demands that we fight for each other. And it's great because a young player like Brooklyn Reigns, when he's in that environment, it's the standard. It's not something you teach. It's just the standard. The standard is that every time we step on the field and we're in the same kit and we're competing against someone else, we are going to fight to get 3 points. We're going to do whatever it takes to get 3 points. And if that means that, you have to stand up for your brother, you stand up for your brother. If that means that, someone needs to get into you and tell you it needs to be better, you do that. If you need an arm around you, you put the arm around them. Those are all types of things that I think culturally, we as a staff put in place really early, but they had to build off of. We can say whatever we want. The team has to believe in it. And I think you're seeing some real growth and leadership in not only just Brooklyn, but a lot of the young guys. I got pulled aside by one of our athletic trainers that used to be in the academy. He's been helping us out this week. And he said, man, I see such a difference in maturity in these 3 guys that were in the academy. And that's a testament to the group. It's not a testament to just those guys or the staff. It's a testament to the players. So I'm very happy with that. And the one thing that we can teach, we can teach technically and tactically and positionally and all these different things. But to make it to the MLS level and to compete and to actually help the club win games, we have to produce competitors and we have to produce guys that are going to fight for the badge. So a big part of our job as a staff is making sure that these guys understand the edge that they have to have when they make that jump.
Thanks, Kenny.
Next, we'll go to Christian Butayas from Dynamo Theory. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, how's it going, Kenny?
Hey, man.
Hey, 2 quick questions. How does it feel to be able to give Talon some time off to begin with? I know he's been playing every single minute. He obviously got some time off there. And then the second one is, how did you see, Jathan Juarez, obviously he scored his first goal. And can you just tell us a little bit about his progression, from beginning of the season to where he's at now?
Yeah, so Talon took a knock. I'm sure you guys saw. Talon took a knock at North Texas early on in the game. And Talon is a warrior. They're a very few players I've ever worked with that have his mentality. He is infectious when it comes to competing. It is something that it's actually pretty funny because the boys give him a hard time because no matter what, I just talked about it, they're in there playing the tech ball. And every day there's an argument about this point counted or this point didn't count or Talon's cheating again. And Talon's like, well, you're just upset that I'm not good. You know, like all these things. And it's all in fun, but he's an absolute warrior. And he took the knock. Our athletic trainer, Brandy, she said, you know, there's no structural damage or issue. It's just really painful. He continued throughout the North Texas game and basically said, Coach, I'm going to play unless you feel like I'm hurting the team. He goes, but I'm going to play. That's his mentality. You know, with Ethan coming down, obviously it helped us not put him in more pain and allow him another week of recovery. So it allowed him an opportunity to rest. And even though he wanted desperately to play in that game, you know, I talked to him and I said, this is coming a good time where, you know, Ethan can play and Ethan needs this time as well. And so, you know, I don't know if you guys could notice, but, you know, Talon on the bench, he's just like he is on the field. I mean, he is all in the game. So it was good that Ethan coming down came at the time that it did. Jathan, man, I couldn't be more proud that that's his first goal because that goal represents Jathan Juarez. It does. You know, I talk about team goals all the time, and he's the first one to tell you that goal comes because Kyle Edwards presses the center back and makes a pass. He forces a pass that's predictable. But Jathan, if you look at what he did 10 minutes before that goal, where a ball got played down the line, he had no business getting to it. He was quick enough to get to it. He then beat the player again and got across the face of goal. You know, the goal is a representation of what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. A lot of things are against Jathan, right? The eye test, you look at Jathan and you go, oh, he's short, right? Oh, can he physically handle the next level? But then you see him defend 1v1 against first-team players, which he has done consistently throughout the season. His 1v1 defending has improved dramatically. He is such a hard player to get past. I love when he gets to train with the first team and he's put up against Fafa or he's put up against Corey Baird and he's put up against these guys, you know, so he's had these opportunities to play against the first team guys. And now he's playing against first team guys at the next pro. So I've been extremely happy with his development there. You know, a lot of Jathan, as well as just his experiences from the academy to now are growing. So you can see his decisions when he does get forward, his decisions, you know, just to step in and win the ball and not be afraid that he can't get there and he can't win that duel. But I told him today, I said, you know, we did video and I just highlighted again, what an exceptional first goal to score. It's not only a team goal, but it's a goal that he'll never forget. And it comes through his hard work throughout the season. So, you know, I couldn't be happier for him. I saw his parents after the game and man, I was so happy for them because it's been a journey. It's been a journey and a grind for him to get to this point.
Thank you for that.
Great. I think we'll wrap things up there. Thanks so much for your time, Ken.
All right. Thank you, guys.